Got the plastic still under the wheels. Thing looks completely mint. No paint rash on this guy. It does need a wipe, but it does just have a little bit of that oil on it that they put on it, I believe, to keep it from rusting in long-term storage. It's got that same textured roof. It's got the work. That wheel is loose. Oof. Gonna have to watch that guy. What's going on there? It's not broken, but it's yeah, not broken, but it just came right off. This sumbitch was minter than mint, guys. And it was a special car. How does this happen? She's good as new because she wasn't broken. Show you both sides. Perfect, not a hack job. Because it wasn't actually broken. So it was easy to fix, lined up perfectly. Easiest glue jobs I ever do is when this happens. And we're gonna get into it, why it happens. And again, that was not scripted, guys. That was a chase car. I had no idea. It had never been out of the box until the video. Stopping off to get some bagels, so may as well check what's on the pegs. If there's anything good, I'll show you. Check this out, guys. What does that resemble? What's that guy resemble, eh? Not a Chevy or anything, I'm talking the paint scheme. Same old two backs. Oh, somebody even lined them up for us. Same crap. Nothing new, guys, nothing to look for. The basics, basic essentials. Retro Maniacs. So it is going to be a different video today. We got some cars from stretches to unbox, some good ones, different ones I've never done before. But this is a video. Now, a lot of old school collectors are going to know what I'm talking about. This is going to be more of an educational video for newer collectors, newish collectors, not necessarily newbies, or even collectors that are just starting to buy older diecast, used ones off the secondary market, stuff like that. And the common problems that they have, basically the trials and tribulations of buying used diecast. You've seen the clip at the beginning. That has happened for a wheel coming off. At minimum, that's the third time that's happened in a video. The wheel coming off. We've had other parts come off. One car I remember specifically, it was sealed in the box, hadn't been opened, and something was rattling around. We couldn't figure it out because nothing was loose in the box, guys. What's making the noise? We were giving it the M2 machine shake, hearing a noise, but nothing loose. What is that? During the unboxing video, if you go back and look at it, not my 58 Impala, Glenn's, the one we did way before that, before we had a bunch of viewers and stuff. When I popped the hood in that video, a valve cover was loose. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking, that sucks, it was brand new and it was broken. No, it was not broken. And it was when this happens, it's some of the easiest fixing you can do. A very common problem if you're new to collecting, or newish, or even new, like I said, to used diecast, buying it from Marketplace, Kijiji, you will encounter dried out glue sooner or later, okay? As glue gets older, it dries out. You guys seen in the last video we did, the unboxing video of this guy. Beautiful chase Camaro. It couldn't have been any better condition, guys. Like, it was minter than mint, cleaner than clean. And you guys seen in the video that back tire started to wobble. Now, funny story about that particular car, okay? I noticed, I thought the red one that we did, this guy, the engine just sat a little bit crooked in the engine bay, I thought. Just a bit. And the yellow one was the same thing. Well, yesterday, before I got violently ill and had to cancel the live, which I'm going to apologize and explain in a few minutes, guys, or after we're done, Hemi Nate came by for a visit. And he seen me putting the tire back on the car for stretch. And naturally, he wondered what was going on. So I explained what happened. Right away, being an old school collector, I think he started in 2013 or something like that, long before me. And with knowledge comes that experience. Right away, Nate doesn't even bat an eye. He says, oh yeah, dried out glue, like, and then, but he goes on to tell me that so he has the same Camaro, but his is the non-chase with the yellow roof. He says to me, did you notice that the engine sits just a little bit crooked in this? And I said, not only in this, but in the red one, it's just the way they did it. And then he really blows me away. He goes on and says, that's so weird because the same wheel on my car, the rear, I can't remember what it was, the rear right, I believe. I think that's what it is. The same wheel on my car is loose, wobbly like that. He said mine didn't come off, but it's sketchy, like it's wobbly. It's hanging on, probably not hanging on like a thread, like Stretches was by a thread, but loose. So I told him, be careful with it. Looks like that particular model at the factory being the same wheel, I can't see it happening. Like, I bet you there's a string of them that have that wheel issue, I bet, because sometimes that happens as well, guys. Same with the 2-lane blacktop car we're going to be getting. A lot of those had that zinc cancer that we're going to be investigating when we get that. But this video, guys, is just to kind of give a buyer beware about the secondary market and about buying stuff. Sometimes when you're buying these cars, guys, everybody says, oh, they've been in my collection for years or whatever, but sometimes it's just a car that's being flipped over and over again. Sometimes these cars can change hands probably 8 times. And with every set of hands it goes through, more wear goes on the box, more wear goes on the cars, stuff happens, right? So you have to be not only aware of this, but with these vintage die-cast cars, that the glue, as it ages, it doesn't matter if it's Ertl, what manufacturer, as glue ages, it dries out. And when the glue dries out, parts fall off. The good news about when that happens, like I said, guys, it's different from a part breaking off. And I'll give you an example. When I bought this beauty here, that I just shined up and cleaned up today, I don't know if you guys seen it in my feed, but I noticed that when I got it, I didn't clean it up how I should. I just did a quick job, so I went on it with a Q-tip on the inside, guys, and it's spotless now. But that guy there, I got him for a good deal because the wheel had been off. It had been repaired. Okay, the back wheel would no longer turn. I was okay with that. The back wheel was now fixed. And so the seller warned me, and when I got it in the mail, the wheel was loose in the box, okay? And because it had already had glue applied to it, and because it had been broken, and it was kind of a weird break, it was a bitch for me to get that wheel back on. To fix that Camaro of Stretches, it was one of the easiest fixes ever. And in a spot where you're not going to see glue, anything like that, the wheel's beautifully straight. It literally just plugged back into the hole, so I didn't even have to line it up. It lined itself up. So I guess the point I'm trying to make, guys, is the secondary market is awesome, but it's what you make of it. And I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. But also you got to be careful, because you don't know if the seller is a collector or if it's somebody that just bought a whole bunch of die-cast at an estate sale and knows nothing, and doesn't understand that the silver screen machines generally came with an antenna. He has no idea that the antenna is missing. stuff like that, right? Missing parts, you always check for missing parts. Check for paint rash if you're able to. Now, I know if you're ordering stuff through the mail, you can't really pre-check the stuff. But the good thing is we try not to go through the mail unless it's absolutely necessary, because we try to avoid additional costs, right? We try to keep the costs down as much as we can. So we try to avoid shipping costs, and that's why we don't start on eBay. eBay is great, guys, for finding stuff that's kind of hard to find. I go on there and I learn about stuff I didn't even know existed on eBay. But eBay should be a last resort. Like, let's say you're looking for a silver screen machine General Lee. eBay should be the last place you should look for one. And after you've been not just checking Marketplace once or twice and then to eBay. I'm talking checking Marketplace for, a few months and you can't find one, then check eBay. Because the price difference is going to be so different, guys. In a way, I guess you're paying for convenience, because, you know what I mean? It's, you can get it right away, right? But at the same time, the price is just crazy, and I hate the parking since we got the snow, guys. I've got to literally steer the Mazda into a snowbank. There we go. A little bit more. Bury my own car. There we go. There we go. Can't get any closer to the curb than that. Anyway, guys, what I'm saying is a lot of it's on you to just make sure that the item is what you're thinking it is. In this case, this is not Stretch's fault. It's not the seller's fault. That could have been in storage for years. This lot of cars that he got, that chrome Camaro, the Authentics Camaros that we unboxed, I can tell those came from a collector's collection and that they weren't through a bunch of hands, just by the way the boxes are and stuff, the way that they're packed back in. When you look at a tab on the box, like when the box looks fairly mint, but you look at the tab and it's all dog-eared and it looks like crap, you know that box has been opened a million times. What am I thinking? We got a load of die-cast and groceries to carry in. Not gonna park on the street out front of the die-cast museum. I'll come right down here, turn the car around, back up a snowbank if I have to, and we'll unload it at the door. Woo. There we go. Unloading the cargo at the museum, guys. Check that out, guys. Just some of what we picked up at Stretch's house. I didn't want to keep you in the dark. Pretty cool, because we have never unboxed a Jaguar, obviously. Never unboxed a Corvette of this style. And never unboxed a Mini Cooper. And they're movie cars, so we love that kind. Okay, guys, so I'll give you an example. So Glenn just grabbed this the other day, okay? It looks okay. Now, he's not expecting it to be in pristine condition. This doesn't come with any accessories or anything. Nothing looks broken. You could see through the box pretty well. He should be okay. Now, it's funny because I was going to unbox this on the channel to check it out. It's 1/24 scale by Racing Champions Hot Rod Magazine. Now, this is from way back in 1996, okay? Now, I see that this was when production numbers meant something. Now they're getting away from it. It's almost like they're trying to make consumers think that the numbers don't matter. And a lot of people are going with it. That's the scary thing, but the amount of something that's produced does matter. And this is an example of buying older stuff. You can get it in good shape. The box has a couple little nicks like in the plastic, but that's not a big deal. He didn't pay a lot for it. But some of them you do pay a lot for. Now, I've had several things with dried out glue This is the main topic of this, but it's, like I said, buyer beware. But dried out glue, things coming apart in videos. A lot of you guys have seen it happen in my videos. I'm going to tell you about a car that shocked me when it happened. It wasn't in a video. You guys know this guy. I always talk about him. I love him. It's my favorite Charger in the house. It's my 1 of 752 American Muscle Authentics non-licensed Bullet Charger with the Chase Me license plate, okay? That is beautiful. I'm always going on saying how beautiful it is. When I bought that, I got it for $125 Canadian. It came in the box. It was from another collector, so it wasn't just somebody that didn't know. So I've had that for a while now, and never a problem, never dropped it, never broke anything. It's always sits in a cabinet. You can imagine my shock a couple months ago. I had it out doing a photo shoot. I feel like there's something in my beard. I just took a shower. It's all frizzy. I had it out doing a photo shoot, and you can imagine my shock when I went to open up. So I open up. Now what I do to get lots of light inside, I'll open up the driver door, and I also open the passenger door because it lets more light through. You can imagine my shock when I opened up the passenger door and it came off in my hand. And it wasn't broken. None of the metal was broken. At first, guys, I almost shit because I thought that the car was, I thought the metal broke. Like usually the system that the door is made of, you know, the little hooks, you know what I mean? I thought that had broke. But it turns out that at least that Authentics Charger, believe it or not, that door is heavily glued together. And that glue dried out, so the motion of me pulling on the door to open it, the door came right off in my hand. So if you guys own that Charger and that happens, as good of a Charger as it is, it even happened to me there. But that is an example, guys. It's happened to Dave Herod a bunch. When the Camaro happened, he was like, wow, like what's with the dried out glue, you know what I mean? Like, he's had a bunch of his cars he's got. And a buyer beware story about Dave H, actually. When I first met him, this is another example, guys, that you got to watch. When I first met him, I seen a lady that was selling a bunch of M2 Machines chases. She had everything. They were all the transport ones that had the cars on the back and inside. Well, she had the chases, and she had 1 of 750s, 1 of 250s, right? Now, she told me point blank, my husband just passed away, but I'm not an idiot. I know exactly what I have. He told me what I have, blah, blah, blah. So I hooked Dave up with her, and Dave did the negotiation. He got himself a really good deal, and she was very happy with it as well, because Dave is very fair like that. He didn't give her some ridiculous number, and he actually bought a lot off her, right? So anyway, he gets the cars home. We thought everything was fine, and a day later, he messages me and says, bro, you're not going to believe this. Well, what's that? Well, I opened up some of the M2 machines because I started noticing some of them weren't sealed. And I opened them up, and I'm looking in the back of the transports, and the trucks are gone. And I said, you're kidding me, they're not in the back of the transport. Nope. Are they loose in the box? Like, because there was some loose ones that were in there? Nope. He ended up reaching out to the lady, and something was worked out about it, but a lot of those ones that he bought that were chases that were supposed to have the car in the back of them, for whatever reason, maybe for storage purposes or whatever, the guy had removed the cars and didn't put them back. Maybe he has them separate in another bin marked M2 chases for the transports, and they just weren't noticed or whatever. Do I believe the lady did it on purpose? Absolutely not. But that's an example that she was selling something on behalf of her husband. So you have to make sure the seller is not always a collector. It could be something that doesn't know the item is missing something, okay? So you always got to try to double check. I know getting stuff through the mail, you can't physically do it. Ask in person. If you don't see the General Lee CB antenna in a picture, ask. I bought my silver screen machines generally for $100. All the pictures showed it had the antenna. Seller shows up, it doesn't have the antenna. Okay, sir, does it have the antenna? Oops. Wow, it's not here. Oh, wow, I don't know where it could be. I said, oh, because the pictures showed it having an antenna. And that's a big thing, guys. You know that. That could be a deal breaker. Luckily, after making me nervous, making a comment saying, oh, we haven't vacuumed anytime recently, he says, I'm going to get back to you when it turns up. I'm sure it will turn up. And it took about 3 weeks, but it turned up. And he ended up coming through Stony Creek, meeting me, and all was perfect. I got the CB antenna. Don't mind Glenn chewing, if you can hear that. And Glenn, you can go ahead and eat. I don't care. I'm just telling them not to mind your chewing. He's just sitting close. It's not like he's across the room eating and you could hear it. He's sitting close. So if you could hear it, I apologize. But I'm not going to tell him to not eat. But anyway, so yeah, that's just another example, guys, of you have to be careful. Sometimes the seller is not always a collector. And sometimes the seller is a flipper, and they're cars that have been through. This is another point I'm going to make. Sometimes some of these cars, this car for Glenn, it's fine. He didn't pay a lot for it. I think that might have been through more than one set of hands, but I can't. Actually, you know what? I don't think it has. It's in too good a shape for it. But the ones with boxes like this, but the tab is just blown right out on it. I've got some like that. You could tell those have been through hands. You look at some of them, they still have the ribs. This one does still have ribs on it. Less shelf wear, but the more hands they go through, the more things can happen, right? So that's my point, guys. It's awesome buying stuff off Marketplace, but always be vigilant. Another thing I'm going to say, I do not advise anybody else to do it because I don't know that you'll be as careful as I am about it. I always pay by e-transfer to people on Marketplace and Kijiji. Believe it or not, I've never been burned. I do my homework. I make sure that it's on a brand new profile. I make sure I read feedback. I check how long they've been on Kijiji or Marketplace for. And I don't send them too much that I can't afford to lose. Like I have a limit on what I'll send. I would not send thousands of dollars. That's nuts. I wouldn't even send $1,000. I wouldn't even send 500. That's how low my limit is, guys. But I'm very vigilant with that. I don't recommend people doing it, though, unless you're going to be as vigilant as me. Otherwise, I would say use PayPal. I don't use PayPal because I used it once and bad experience. It took me way too long to get my money, and I ended up having to pay for it. So sold a bunch of vintage LJNs to people in the US of A, and they didn't have a way to pay me, so I got PayPal, or I already had a PayPal, but I never used it. And they all sent the money, and the money was in there, but I wasn't allowed to touch it for I can't remember how long, and there was a bunch of weird rules, and I was like, yeah, I don't need that. I'd rather just sell stuff and people pick it up or whatever, or they pay for it, and I ship it to them, and if they're too nervous to do it that way, I understand. You know what I mean? Because not everybody wants to do it like that, and I get it. But that's the thing. The secondary market, like I said, overall, guys, could be awesome. You just have to be careful. And I was just thinking of different scenarios. Older one that Glenn got today, actually. One that I didn't even know they made these. They remind me of the new Hot Wheels, but I like this better. These are from 03. Matchbox, Barrett Jackson. Obviously, 143 scale, maybe, I'm thinking. But Glenn got some cool older stuff today. Not from Marketplace, from Dave, but Dave probably got it from Marketplace maybe at some point. This one here, older, another example of something older, and they even numbered that. Like that's a greenie, a green machine, a green light chase, okay? It's not a raw, but it's a greenie, but it's numbered. It's
43 or 46.
One of 1,000, and it's actually numbered on the bottom, and it's actually number 46. I don't know if you could see that, number 46 of 1,000. But yeah, getting the older, cooler stuff, you gotta resort to the secondary market because obviously it's no longer in stores. KB Toys exclusive. It's kind of neat. But yeah, anyway, guys, after that video, Stretch came up with the idea. I was gonna do this on my live. The topic was gonna be talking about buying used diecast and the trials and tribulations and what could happen and the good and bad of it. So that's all it is, guys. Just be vigilant and know that if you're looking for something, it's definitely, the hunt is not an overnight thing. For example, it took me a year to get my General Lee, my Silver Screen Machines General Lee, and sometimes you have to put it in your head, you're not going to get it, and let it come naturally. But don't let it cause anxiety. If the hobby's causing you anxiety and all that stuff, and you're just at home pulling your hair out about getting a certain car, it might not be your hobby, because I don't get that way. Don't get me wrong, I want stuff, but I don't stress about it. So just remember about the secondary market. You got to put the work in, put the legwork in, be vigilant, be careful, and most of all, be patient and shop around. You wouldn't want to see something, get excited. You know, a Silver Screen Machines General Lee, let's say it's $400, you pull the trigger on it, and then you see there is one listed for $380 where you live. So always shop around unless it's an item that you know is a killer deal. Obviously, if you see an Auto Art bullet for $100 in the box, you don't got to shop around for that. Nail that message button right quick before someone else does, right away. Another trick I use, if somebody doesn't live near where you live and you don't want to get it shipped, it's not an item worth shipping, because we try to avoid the shipping cost. What I say, and it's worked quite a bit, and in fact it worked to get my Silver Screen General Lee, is, do you ever come to Hamilton? Believe it or not, probably out of every 10 asks, I get about 4 yeses. And if I didn't ask about that General Lee, I might not have got it, because he was way far away. Markham, or no, not Markham, he was somewhere, he was Orangeville or something. Somewhere I wouldn't have drove anyway. So I asked that, and if something is pending, always say, okay, if it falls through, please let me know. I'll lock it up right away. You know what I mean? If they say somebody's coming for it, somebody's pending, always say I'm interested. Please let me know if it falls through. That I would say about out of every 10, 3 or 4 fall through, believe it or not. And I have the people call me. But you just got to be assertive with the stuff. Little tricks like that. And one last trick. Your keywords when you're searching for stuff on Marketplace. Think like the seller. Use spelling mistakes. Spell bullet, B-U-L-L-E-T, car, instead of B-U-L-L-I-T. Type in just diecast cars instead of Auto World General Lee. Because you remember, I bought my Auto World General Lee, my Ecto, and the DeLorean. The title said nothing about fancy cars. It said diecast cars. Or it might have said one of 18 diecast movie cars. But I don't even think it said movie. I think it just said one of 18 diecast cars. I seen the picture of it and recognized the rims on the General Lee. That's what keyed me into it. It wasn't just a regular ad. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I know a lot of you old school collectors are going to know that about the glue because you've already faced it. But yeah, for the newer collectors, do not be scared if that happens. It's a very easy fix as long as the item's not broken. It usually plugs right in. And it's a lot more common than you think. And the old school collectors will tell you it's happened to them. So don't let it scare you. And if it does happen to you, don't be too upset about it. And that's about it, guys. Sorry about the live. I got violently ill yesterday. Viewer Hemi Nate came by to visit. I'm weaning off the prednisone. I'm down to a low dose of it now, like 3 pills a day instead of 10. I'm actually getting a hot flash now and I see my face turning. So now the withdrawals are starting to hit me, but the good thing is they're not lasting long, and I'm almost through this. The prednisone's almost going to be out of me soon. Look at my head, though.
Like Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, I'm having a hot flash, and I could see my face turning red. But anyway, I started having a hot flash when Nate was here. And when we were just wrapping it up, he was going to leave. I said, yeah, I'm starting to not feel well. I'm starting to get a headache coming on. So he left. We said our goodbyes. And guys, 20 minutes later, I was a mess walking around with a garbage can under my mouth. Just, and Glenn was just standing there looking at me. He didn't know what he should do because you know what I mean? But yeah, it came on just within 20 minutes, just violently ill. Like when Nate got there, I felt a little under the weather, but I was okay. But toward the end of our visit, wow. So I didn't get anything done this weekend, including the live. So that's the purpose of this video, and to say hello and explain what happened and to apologize about the live. So anyway, guys, little Woody, eh? Thank you so much for watching. Do me a favor and smash that like button for me. While you're at it, hit the bell notification. As always, guys, stay safe and happy hunting.